Digimon Story Time Stranger releases this year, and it was confirmed at Digimon Con that the game will have 450 plus Digimon. Most likely like 455, it could be 460 or 470. And while it was an easier task for Digimon Survive, it falls to me once again to try and predict the entire roster, all 450 plus Digimon that will be in Digimon Story Time Stranger. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another video. And yes, I'm really going to try and predict every single Digimon in Digimon Story Time Stranger. Grab a drink and let's lock in. Before I start, I want to give a big thanks to Grindosaur, Wikimon, and Los Archivos to Izzy. Grindosaur is a great resource for things like Cyber Sleuth, letting me know every Digimon that was in the field guide, as well as a reasonably good list of Digimon that we've already got confirmed in Time Stranger. Likewise, Wikimon is a good resource and does have a list of Digimon in Time Stranger. I want to give a big shout out to a fellow YouTuber, Izzy, who does Spanish language videos and did an entire video trying to identify every Digimon that's already been confirmed in Digimon Story Time Stranger. I'll link that video in the description, go check it out. If you don't speak Spanish, it's okay. If you click CC on YouTube and do translate to English, it's pretty good. It's not perfect, but you can definitely pass the video. I also manually scrubbed through the images and trailers myself to see if any of these three had missed anything, but combined, I don't think they did. Although Wikimon has got some additions which I can't find and neither could Izzy. As a heads up though, Izzy's video did come out a couple of weeks ago, and since then, Digimon social media has been posting updates related to the world in Digimon in Time Stranger, so those are accurate as of the upload date of this video. This is one of those videos that, because of the nature of the promotion for Time Stranger, is probably going to become inaccurate very quickly, so I don't think I'm going to nail a full 450 out of 450, but we're going to try and get as many accurate as possible, and when you come back to this video, once Time Stranger is fully out, someone can do a check in the comments for how many I got right. And very quickly, Future Karn jumping in here, because this has been an absolute mammoth to edit, but thankfully it has been made a lot easier by today's sponsor, Raycon. You know by now that I genuinely use my Raycons all the time, whether it's for editing or travel. Might be going back to America again soon, I guess we'll see, to see family or whatever it might be. But you know, also Father's Day is coming up, so why not consider this Father's Day showing your dad that they deserve the world at a price they'll be impressed by. This Father's Day, treat dad to a pair of everyday earbuds by Raycon, because he deserves to relax, recharge, and enjoy his favorite music, podcasts, and calls in crystal clear sound. And not just for dads, I have been recommending Raycon to everybody, including my friend Tom, aka Protodubs. I got him a pair of the black Raycons and he is loving it. Look at my boy. And Raycon's latest model is better than ever, with a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets him pair with two devices at once. Finally, Tom and your dad can wave bye to that old tangled pair of wired earbuds. And these earbuds also come with active noise cancellation, which is often difficult to find at such an accessible, dad-friendly price point. I personally love the blue color that I've got, combined with the Ocean Waves protective case. It is beautiful. Super simple to bring wherever you go, and a perfect fit even if you've got massive ears like me. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the quick charge function, because only 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery. And now it's the summer, I'm trying to focus on getting a little bit back into shape, going out cycling, going for walks. Raycons are weatherproof up to IP66 and sweat resistant. Like I say, ever since Raycon has sponsored me, I've been a big fan of them, and I want to see as many people as possible get them, like my bud Tom, and indeed my dad. They're so simple to set up, easy to connect to your phone, your tablet, your PC, whatever it might be, which is perfect for an older relative like your dad. So if this sounds as good to you as it does to me, Tom, and my dad, make sure you go to buyraycon.com/KarnEX to get 15% off site-wide. Brought to you by Raycon. So thank you so much to Raycon. Let's get back to past Karn. We also know that Habu wanted it to be a situation where, when they make a 3D Digimon game, that gives them the opportunity to kind of keep those Digimon going forward. That's why Time Stranger has a higher roster of Digimon, 450, compared to the 341 of Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition, an increase of about 110, which is not as dramatic as some of us would have hoped, but it does give us an indication that perhaps a lot of those Digimon from Cyber Sleuth will be able to be brought forward. For example, if we look at Belphamon, it's a very similar model to the model from Cyber Sleuth, but with a slight increase to visual fidelity, making the fur look better, etc. But we'll get to that when we get to it. I'm going to run rapid fire through the Digimon that are already confirmed. I'll try and show where they were in the various trailers or media, but it might get to the point in the edit where I'm just showing the reference book art, because there are a lot of Digimon. Like I say, 450 plus in this video, but let's begin. Baby-wise, we have about 4 confirmed so far. For reference, there were 5 baby Digimon in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. Confirmed so far are Botamon, Poyomon, Punimon, and Metal Koromon, aka Choromon, all all seen in trailers and pictures. Moving over to the in-training, there were about 12 in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, and so far confirmed are Kapurimon, Motemon, Tanemon, Yokomon, and Tokomon, all fairly standard. Rookies, we had 51 in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, and so far confirmed are Agumon, Demidevimon, Gomamon, and Patamon, those three being the starters. Fanbimon, Gabumon, Gaomon, Goblimon, Gotsumon, Haguramon, Impmon, Kudamon, Lalamon, Mushroomon, Renamon, Shoutmon, Palmon, Terriermon, Toyagumon, Kamemon, Penguinmon, and Muchomon. Love that. We're getting an interesting lineup to Digimon Liberator, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Shumon, Tapirmon, Floramon, Kokuamon, Salamon, Falcomon, Solamon, Hawkmon, and Dracmon. A lot of these Digimon actually were already in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, such as Falcomon, Salamon, Solamon, Hawkmon, Dracmon. Obviously, all three starters were also in Cyber Sleuth, so it starts to paint the picture that we are going to see a lot of returning Digimon. Anyway, moving forward. Champions, we've got Agiomon, of course, Agunimon, you can count this as a champion or a spirit, but it's probably going to be treated like a champion. Same with Lobomon, Birdramon, Blimpmon, Sealamon, Deputymon, Devimon, XVmon, Gaugamon, Garuramon, Gatomon, Greymon, Guapamon, Kiwimon, Kuwagamon, Meramon, Monzemon, Numemon, Repamon, Seadramon, Starmon, my boy Stingmon, Teruimon, love that, Tyrannomon, Unimon, Vegimon, Waspmon, yes, coming back, love it, as well as Fanbimon, Mojimon, Ginryamon, Black Gatomon, Sentilmon, Togemon, Icemon, Dinohumon, did not spot that one, thank you to Izzy, and Geckomon. Then we've got the armors. So far, the only armor Digimon confirmed is Pegasusmon. Yep, that's how long ago I recorded this. Hello, Future Karn here. I'm going to be stopping in throughout this whole video for additions and updates, as we're getting quite regular social media posts from Digimon Games on Twitter. We now also have Nefertimon, Halsamon, and Magnamon confirmed for the game. More on that in a bit. Ultimates is where things start getting spicy. So far, we've got Andromon, Anjawumon, Arukenimon, Astamon, Big Mamemon, Datamon, Digitamamon, Divamon, Etamon, Iceleomon, aka Pangeamon, Knightsmon, Lady Devimon, Lilymon, Locomon, Lusamon Fall Down Mode, Mamemon, Metal Greymon, Metal Mamemon, Pandamon, Pumpkinmon, Okuamon, Scorpiomon, aka Animalocarimon, Superstarmon, Waymon, Volcamon, Zudomon, Delumon, Catch Mamemon, Piximon, Parrotmon, thanks to the recently revealed boss trailer, Vadamon. For Megas, we've got Barbamon confirmed. In addition to Lusamon Fall Down Mode, I think that gives you a hint as to Digimon that are likely also going to be on this roster, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Bielstarmon was confirmed. This is no surprise. Bielstarmon is one of Habu's absolute favorites. He talked about this before he left the project, and so Bielstarmon and Lady Devimon both being in this game make a ton of sense. Duraguramon and Gallantmon are confirmed. Then, yes, even though we haven't seen gameplay of them, this game focuses entirely on the Olympos 12. They are kind of the god Digimon of the Iliad server of this digital world that we're going to be exploring in Time Stranger. So all of these are confirmed. Apollomon, Dianamon, Ceresmon, Bacchusmon, Junomon, Jupitermon Wrath Mode, we saw in the trailer behind Birdramon, we believe. We now also have a social media post confirming that Marukimon or Mercurymon is kind of the leader of Central Town, so Olympos 12 members are already starting to have key moments and key involvement in the story of the game. Marsmon, specifically Minervamon, not Mervamon. I'll get to that as well, but yeah, it's very likely that Mervamon, kind of the darker half of Minervamon, is going to be in this game too. Ooh, more Future Karn time, aren't you lucky? Yes, this week Minervamon was like double confirmed to be in the game as a war maiden who landed in Shinjuku. Suddenly she appeared before the protagonist and decided to explore together. Apparently she came to the human world in order to fulfill her mission. Minervamon confirmed, a little bit more information on her, pretty neat. Neptunemon, Venusmon, and Volcanusmon. Some other confirmed are Machindramon, Metal Etamon, Millenniummon, Audiumon, Platinum Numemon, Shine Greymon, Titamon, Vikemon, War Greymon, Medieval Gallantmon confirmed by a social media post, and Belphamon Rage Mode similarly. And also during the making of this video, Crossmon was confirmed. And then our only Ultra so far, Omnimon, all those included, that brings us to approximately, my count might be slightly off, 144 Digimon confirmed before the game is even out, and we are going to get more as the weeks go on. That means that almost a third of the roster is already confirmed just from trailers and images. That's insane. I know. That was a big list to run down, I totally get it. So now it falls to me to fill in about another 300 Digimon. I'm going to try and provide reasoning for all of these. However, if I state, for example, a bunch of Digimon were in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory and others were, but I don't mention it, it's just because the list is huge. If I don't say a Digimon was from something or wasn't confirmed because of this or whatever, my bad. I'm trying to be as abridged as I possibly can be in this list, but it's tough. All right, so for baby Digimon, this is a little bit tough. Like I say, there was about 5 in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, so I'm just going to add 2, Pabumon and Koromon. Both were in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, and I feel like are quite likely. As for in in-training Digimon, I do want to add a few more. Wanyamon, Pagumon, Nyaramon, and Bukamon were all in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, and given that Gomamon is a starter here, I think we're going to see Bukamon as its pre-evolution. Now, Wikimon has claimed that Pororumon is in this game. I have not seen it anywhere. It may be they just put this on there because it is Fanbemon's pre-evolution. Fanbemon was featured prominently, and I think I am going to include it as a likely Digimon for the in-training, and I think I might also put Pupumon on the list of baby Digimon. Also in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory was Sumemon, Sunomon, Koromon. Again, Botamon and Agumon are confirmed. I feel like Koromon's going to be here. We don't really tend to have a default pre-evolution for Demi-Devimon, but I think the confirmed Kapurimon might work there. Then some ones that I'm going to add are Sunmon and Moonmon. These are the in-trainings for Coronamon and Lunamon, aka eventually becoming Apollomon and Dianamon. I do think we're probably going to see their full line here, but I'll talk about them by evolution category. And finally, I'm pinning my hopes on this one. I will discuss it when we get to the Mega, but I do think Chichimon is going to be in this game. All right, moving on to rookies. Lusamon, I feel like is pretty likely. Fall down mode has been confirmed, and Lusamon was in Cyber Sleuth. As previously discussed with Sunmon and Moonmon, I think we're also going to see Lunamon and Coronamon here. Some people have got it into their heads that they can't use the name Coronamon because of what happened in 2020, but it just means crown, guys. It just means crown. Some risky picks. I'm going to put this in this list and not in my dream list, but I think given that Agunimon and Lobomon were both featured pretty prominently in screenshots and trailers, we might actually get Flamemon and Strabimon in this game. No promises, but I've got a little bit of a hunch. Likewise, because of Digimon we've seen in the special moves trailers, I think Vmon and Wormmon are shoo-ins given that X-Vmon and Stingmon are confirmed. Similarly, I think Meramon being in the game confirms Candlemon, Birdramon confirms Biomon, Terriamon and Teruimon I think confirms Lopmon, Audumon nearly certainly confirms Ryudamon, and likewise, as Oyumon is in the game, I think Alphamon is likely too, so Dorymon's bound to be here. I think the base Systemon will graduate from the Cyber Sleuth roster. There's really no reason not to include her, as will I think Keramon. An outlier though, in my opinion, is that we might see Agumon 2006 in this game, as we have already seen Shine Greymon featured in trailers, and it just feels like it'd be a nice time to include this Digimon. Speaking of Agumon variants, Agumon Black was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, so that feels pretty likely too, leading up to Blackwall Greymon in future. And Zubamon, I think they will bring back. They've got the model, it won't be that hard to polish up, make the reflective texture look better. Tentomon is almost guaranteed. It was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, and it's an adventure Digimon. Why would they not include it? And I think Monodramon is a similar shoe-in. It's Tamer's bait. Izzy did think perhaps Monodramon was even confirmed in the background, but it was hard to tell in one of the images. Either way, though, I feel like we're seeing Monodramon in this game. Likewise, we're going to see Guilmon from Tamers because Renamon and Gallantmon have already been confirmed. And I think we are going to see Betamon or Betamon, whatever you want to call it, as it was a starter in Hacker's memory, and we've already seen Seadramon in the game. My next outlier pick is Hackmon. It was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, and I feel like all of the Royal Knights are going to come back, so we're also probably going to see notable pre-evolutions for the Royal Knights too, given we know Omnimon is already in the game and they're the Royal Knights. There's also a fated, supposedly, or potentially fated battle between the Royal Knights and the Olympus 12. I hope that's not the central plot of this game, but at least including the Royal Knights feels pretty obvious. Some more quick fire rookies that are likely either because they're in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory or their evolutions already confirmed. Jakomon, Black Gabumon, Gazimon, Otamamon, Elekmon, Armadillomon, Commandramon. Darkdramon was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, and it's been getting a push in things like Digimon Seekers. I think now would be a good time to bring in Commandramon. And then my last two outlier picks, but I feel like they're just so overlooked, deserve their time to reshine. Harrismon to finally give Digimon Eirias its flowers, plus again, all the Eirias new Digimon have 3D models already that just need punching up. And Hyokomon. It debuted in a Digimon Story game. It has not been given a Digimon reference book listing, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll see you soon, Chronomon. Future Karn again. Yes, we now have confirmation that the Bearmon brothers are going to be in Digimon Story Time Stranger, and that Bearmon is recruitable. I'll talk a little bit about Bearmon evolutions as Future Karn throughout the video, but I'm hoping this also means that Monmon and Kotemon are going to be added to the game as Digimon World 3 references. I am not optimistic. This feels like something that Bandai Namco could drop the ball on, but as Dino Humon is already confirmed to be in the game, I am going to stake my claim and say that Bearmon, Monmon, and Kotemon are all going to be in this game. Okay, Armor Digimon. I wasn't sure whether we were going to get any more than the Armor Digimon that were already in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory. However, they confirmed Pegasusmon pretty much out of the gate, which gave me some hope. Future Karn here, we now have confirmation that Magnamon, Nefertimon, and Halcyon are all going to be in the game, like in a short I made the other day. This to me confirms that Digmon is probably coming, and ideally Raydramon, because it is a rideable Digimon, and riding Digimon is a big thing in this game. I would like to see all the 0-2 armors in this game, but maybe not every single armor, as it would pad the roster too much. So I'm predicting Digmon, Shurimon, and Raydramon will be joining this game, as well as Flamedramon, who isn't confirmed, and Rapidmon armor. Alright, Okay, champion Digimon. Ogremon I think is a dead cert. It's Adventure Bait and Goblimon and Titamon are already confirmed. Gardramon is in a similar spot as more, I guess, Tamers nostalgia, but with Haguramon and Andromon also confirmed, it feels likely. Lekismon and Pheramon continue being part of the Apollomon and Dianamon family. Ikakumon, I mean, we've got Gomamon, Zudomon, and Vikemon confirmed. If he's not here, I'll be apoplectic. Wizardmon, yeah, it's Adventure Bait. We've already got Gatomon, and Wizardmon is a common gap between Impmon and Balmon into Beelzemon, plus Wizardmon was already in Cybersleuth, as was Sukamon. Then is Geogreymon. This to me actually feels pretty likely. It was already in Cybersleuth and Hacker's memory, unlike its pre-evolution Akamon 2006, and with Gaugamon, Gaomon, and Shine Greymon already included, it feels like an easy tier. Leomon's gotta be here, man. If Panjamon's here and Leomon isn't for the adventure reference, what? Sunflowermon I think is confirmed by Lalamon. Similarly, Woodmon is confirmed by Mushmon. Patamon is definitely going to digivolve into Angemon, and Renamon is definitely going to be able to digivolve into Cubimon. Two that I'm less certain of, but I do feel like they are pushing Digicross a little bit, given that we have that shot of Shoutmon, Nightmon, and Deputymon. I think we might actually see Digicross forms more prominently in this game, so I am going to include Shoutmon Cross 4 on my roster. Probably not any other Shoutmon forms or any other Digicrosses, but I think maybe Shoutmon Cross 4. This in turn to me then feels like we kind of have to include Ballistamon and Darulumon, but I probably wouldn't include anything else that they digivolve into. I'm also really tempted to include Shoutmon King just because of Shoutmon. I'm going to leave it in here, but if you want to take it away from the total at the end, that's fine. Some other ones that I think are pretty confirmed given that their pre-evolutions or evolutions are in the game are Gargomon, Burning Greymon, Kendo Garurumon, aka Vitramon and Garamon, and Gladymon. As I've already added Dorumon, I do think Dorugamon is quite likely. And then my big kind of like, maybe this is going to happen, I get less confident as the days go on, but I do really wish for it, so I am going to stake my claim here, is that we might actually see both versions of Systemon's adult forms in this game finally breaking the taboo. It's not likely because of the Digimon card game kind of doubling down on it, I will admit. Now yes, as of time of recording, we did get confirmation that BT23 Hacker's Slumber was going to be featuring art of Systemon Blanc and Systemon Noir, of course in homage to Digimon Story Cybersleuth Hacker's Memory. Right now we don't have the English version of this art, so it's very likely they are going to replace Noir with CL still outside of Japan, but maybe they finally heard us and are going to stop doing that, giving us some inclination that it might work for Time Stranger 2. Either way, it doesn't really matter because, spoilers, my roster is going to be slightly over 450 anyway, so we'll account for the fact that one or the other Systemon might not be in it anyway, doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm going to say Systemon CL and Noir, as well as its awakened forms, are going to be in versions of the game. Maybe just the Japanese one, maybe every version but the American one, but I'm living in hope. There are a bunch of Digimon that were already in Cybersleuth and Hacker's Memory, and I feel like are very likely to carry through into this game. Wendymon, Crystallimon, Kabuterimon, Zuba Egamon, Strike-Dramon, Growlmon, Gallopmon's confirmed anyway, Raremonn, Raptordramon, again Audiumon is also confirmed, so I feel like the Audiumon Alphamon evolution family are going to be included, Frigimon, Mudfrigimon, Monochromon, and Peckmon, which is supported by a bunch of Digimon Data Squad Digimon already being confirmed. Platinum Numemon is confirmed, so I do think Platinum Sukamon might also show up, also from Cybersleuth and Hacker's Memory. Then is the controversial one, will Hoodymon actually show up in this game? I think so. There's like zero reason not to include her. Yes, Hoodymon is a very story-heavy Digimon for specifically Hacker's Memory, but also Hoodymon's just showed up in a bunch of non-Hacker's Memory media already. Pendulum Z, the Vital Bracelet BE. I don't think that intrinsic link to Erica and Hoodie actually matters that much for media that doesn't feature those characters. Maybe Erica and co will actually show up in this game and I'll be BTFO'd, but I don't think the reasons to exclude Hoodymon are as serious as some people make out. Also, if we're including one butterfly, maybe we can include more butterflies later. Anyway, some more Digimon that were in Cybersleuth and Hacker's Memory are Vidramon, XVmon's already confirmed, why not? Bakemon, Bauhuckmon, Nanimon, Tankmon, Sorcerymon, Sanlumon, Cyclomon, Golemon, Gold Numemon, Cordramon Blue, Cordramon Green, Geremon, Clockmon. We can't have Digimon Story Time Stranger without Clockmon, can we? Greymon Blue, this is bound to be in here because Blackwall Greymon is almost certainly going to be in here. Garurumon Black, again because Black Metal Garurumon, Shell Numemon, Gardramon Gold. I was tempted to cut this one, but I don't see any reason to really. If Gardramon's already going to be in the game, which it likely is, the Gold recolor feels like an easy win and may even still get to do its Digi-Egg stuff into Rapidmon and Magnamon. Airdramon was in Cybersleuth and Hacker's Memory. Izzy thinks it might have been in the trailer too, but it's very hard to say. However, it's a classic Digimon. I think it's very likely. And because Stingmon and XVmon are confirmed and they were in Cybersleuth too, Ankylamon and Aquilamon feel very likely. I think we're going to basically see every evolution from 0-2 in my opinion. And finally, from Cybersleuth and Hacker's Memory for champions, we have Ice Devimon. Then again are some slightly more wishes or unlikely Digimon but could be in here. Baraimon, part of the Hyokomon family. Philmon continuing to give Eirias its flowers. Kakatrimon, well, we already have Muchomon and Parrotmon confirmed now, plus Crossmon, hello from the future, and Kakatrimon and Akatorimon, which I'm also going to add to this list, are very common gaps between Muchomon and Parrotmon, and definitely act as Parrotmon pre-evolutions. I also think Dobamon is likely to be in here. Well, we haven't talked about it yet. Given we have all of the Olympos 12, I think we're likely to see Plutomon. Future Karn here, we got some V-Jump scans, and yes, once again, I absolutely nailed it. Dobamon is confirmed to be in this game. And as this game is based on Greek myth, I feel like they have to include Minotaurumon, the Minotaur in the labyrinth of Greek myth, no brainer. And because we now have that Bearmon confirmation, I do think we're probably going to see Grismon in this game. As for Monmon and Kotemon champions, well, Dinohumon is already confirmed, so we could see Hookmon or indeed even maybe Hanumon for Monmon. But I think if we're going strictly Digimon World 3, kind of like the most common Evo, I think we're going to see Grismon, Dinohumon confirmed, and Hookmon. Alright, moving on to Ultimates. Well, we didn't see it. Canonbeemon is a dead cert in my opinion. It was already in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, and Fanbeemon and Waspmon are confirmed. For similar reasons, Wergarurumon and Wergarurumon Black are likely going to return. And yes, that Apollomon and Dynamon connection continues with Cressamon and Flaremon. Confirmed by their evolutions being in the game are Macgaugamon and Tylinmon in my opinion, as is Lilamon. And keeping that theme going, Cherrymon, Magna Angemon, Taumon, and Rapidmon all have rep and evolutions in this game already. Feels fairly obvious. Now, one of the heroes of our game, Aegiomon, confirmed to be partnered with a human, and we already know Jupitermon is going to be in the game. I just can't see us not getting all of Aegiomon's evolutions in Aegiacusmon, Aegiacusmon Blue, Aegiacusmon Dark, Aegiacusmon Green, and Aegiacusmon Holy, which its specific gear themes I think are going to make it one of the more important Aegiomon evolutions that we're going to see in Time Stranger, as the motifs that are very similar to Aegiacusmon Holy are popping up everywhere. We've got XVmon, we've got Stingmon, so Pyultramon feels pretty likely, doesn't it? And because of Kamimon and Guapamon, so is Shoujinmon. Yep, sliding in here because that same V-Jump scan that confirmed that Dobamon is in the game also confirmed Shoujinmon. Some others confirmed by their pre-evolutions being in the game or from being in Cyber Sleuth are Warumonzemon, Garudamon, and Telamon. Dinobeemon, this is less likely I think, but as it was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, and Stingmon's in the game, they'll probably include it. Histiadiumon, Grademon. My outlier though is that while Grademon was in Cyber Sleuth, Grademon Vice wasn't, but I think we might see it this time. A lot of people love the Alphamon and Audiumon evolutions. Dorugreymon similarly, Omnishoutmon, Infamon, Rise Greymon, Megakabuterimon, Doramon, Cyberdramon, Myotismon, Wisemon, Crowmon / Yatagaramon, Metal Tyrannomon, Metal Greymon Virus, which might have already been in that first trailer, War Growlmon, Megaseedramon, Matadormon, Blue Meramon, Black King Numemon, Phantomon, Hippogriffamon, Triceramon, Megadramon, Gigadramon, both in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory, Shogun Gakkomon, Skull Meramon, Dagomon, Savior Huckmon, Skull Satamon, Skull Greymon, Sylphimon and Shakuamon. They were both in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory too. Again, I think that Digimon Adventure 02 love is going to come through strong in this game. I think we may actually see Balmon in this game. It's become so integral to the Impmon Beelzemon evolution line, and not even Cross Wars Beelzemon, like even regular Beelzemon in the card game and things like that, Digivolves from Balmon. So I think we're going to see it in this game. The trailers have already proven that we're getting an increase in Cross Wars love anyway. Rapleomon, Groundramon, Aerovedramon, Wingdramon, Meteormon, Gotsumon and Icemon are already confirmed. And then Butenmon, Stephilmon, Cerberusmon, and its Werewolf mode. These are all big stakes for me, big claims. They might not be true, but I've got a feeling. And again, because of that confirmation of Bearmon, I do think it's quite likely we're going to see Grapleomon, or maybe even something else leading into Calismon potentially. For Monmon, I think it's quite likely we're going to see Assaultmon coming off Hookmon. Then we may also see Captain Hookmon, and then maybe like a Nightmon or a Kukimon for Kotemon. Not 100% certain on which Ultimates from Digimon World 3 will actually make the cut in this game. Also, because Bearmon is confirmed, this does hint to me that we are going to see Chimeramon and Skullbalukimon, as Bearmon, Skullbalukimon, and Chimeramon were 3 Digimon abandoned but almost included in Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's memory. Plus, you know, Millenniumon's already in the game. It would be kind of cool to have all 3 of these guys come back. This is where things are going to get spicy, and where Digimon that I've had on this list that might not have made sense are going to start coming into their own. First of all, Chaos Gallantmon feels very likely. We've already got 2 Gallantmons in this game, and it was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory. As I discussed earlier, because we've got all the Olympos 12 and specifically Minervamon, I can't see them not using Mervamon. It was so popular in Cross Wars and a popular member of the Olympos 12. And given that Olympos 12 focus, yeah, Plutomon's got to be here, right? I do wonder whether they're going to subvert Plutomon as a villain like it was in Digimon Crusader, because Pluto isn't inherently an evil character. I would like to see it play a different role here. That is why I included Dobamon and the 2 Cerberusmons, because because those were its pre-evolutions in Digimon Survive and in general media. I didn't include Labramon as a potential rookie in this because it hasn't been in story games before. However, I do think it's possible. I might add it to the count. Screw it. Tiger Vespamon I feel like is a dead cert given that Fanbeamon and Waspmon are already confirmed. However, I don't think that we're going to see the rest of the royal base from Digimon Liberator. I think those Digimon are just too new. I would love to be surprised and see Queen Beamon, Forge Beamon, and Vespamon here, but I think it's unlikely. Then some obvious ones, Metal Garurumon Black, and because Beelzemon is confirmed, I think Beelzemon Blast Mode is also likely to return, and because we have Lucemon Fall Down Mode, Beelzemon, and Barbamon already confirmed, I feel like the rest of the 7 Great Demon Lords are also going to be in this game. Leviamon, Lilithmon, Demon, Belphamon Sleep Mode, Belphamon Rage Mode has now been confirmed. Hello, Future Karn here again, so that lends even more credence to the idea that the Demon Lords are going to be in this game. And I also think maybe their Ultra level Agudamon may end up in this game. Some other Digimon that are likely based on this are Lucemon Satan Mode, Fall Down Mode's included, and Satan Mode was in Cyber Sleuth, and I think they may actually add the Lucemon Lava this time too. Hyandramon and Mirage Gaugamon incredibly likely given that their Prevos are in the game, and Plesiomon also seems likely. It was in Cyber Sleuth, it's a common alternate Gomamon Mega, and Gomamon's a starter in the game. Kentorusmon I think is another one, it's a Royal Knight likely to be confirmed, and Kudamon 06 is already in the game. Rosemon's a dead cert as Lalamon, Palmon, Togemon, and Lilymon are already confirmed, as are Seraphimon and Sequoiamon. I think we're likely going to see Sequoiamon Maid Mode in this game too because of some other stuff. I'm not going to spoil why, but if you played any other video games, you might get the gist. And I think we might see Kuzuhamon because it was in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory too. Likewise, I think Emperor Greymon, Magna Garurumon, and Magna Garurumon SV are all likely to be in the game or return because Agunimon and Lobamon are confirmed. Some highly likely to be wrong bets, but ones I am going to include are every ancient Digimon. Oh, I'm going to regret this one. Ancient Greymon, Ancient Garurumon, Ancient Mermaimon, Ancient Troyamon, Ancient Beatmon, Ancient Irismon, Ancient Sphinxmon, Ancient Megatheriumon, Ancient Volcamon, and Ancient Wisemon. They've not been in a 3D story game as far as I'm aware, and I just think that Frontier love would be enough to include them without having to include maybe all the other spirits. We shall see. I think this is the one I'm most likely to be wrong on. Then into territory that's more likely based on Digimon already in the game, Imperialdramon Dragon Mode and Fighter Mode, Ophanimon, Magnadramon, Jumbo Gamemon, Metal Seadramon, Piedmon, and Puppetmon, Seadramon and Machinedramon are already confirmed, so I think the rest of the Dark Masters are very likely. In fact, Wikimon already has Puppetmon listed, so maybe they've seen it somewhere. More that are incredibly likely either again because they were in Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory or their evolutions are in the game are Phoenixmon, Cherubimon Virtue, and Cherubimon Vice, Gran Kuwagamon, and I think we might see Bancho Stingmon this game. Bancho Stingmon has been way more attached to Stingmon again in things like the card game, and we haven't really had good Bancho representation apart from Bancho Leomon. I think that might be about to change, is not just Bancho Stingmon. I think Bancho Mamemon, Bancho Lilymon, and Bancho Golemon are going to join Bancho Stingmon and Bancho Leomon in this game. We've already got a ton of Mamemon in this game. Mamemon, Metal, Catch, Big. Why would they not include Bancho? It feels so obvious. And if they're going to include 3 Bancho Digimon, why not include all 5? Mastemon is obviously returning as Angewomon and Lady Devimon are confirmed, and I feel like if we've got Locomon in the game, we're going to get Gran Locomon, as well as Noble Pumpkinmon, Marine Angemon, and then, the Royal Knights are coming back, as I said. So we're going to have Alphamon, Dynasmon, Lord Nightmon, All Force Vidramon, maybe his future mode. I'm including it, but it might not happen. Craniumon, Duftmon, Leopard Mode, Examon, Gankumon, and Jessmon. I just can't see them not including the Royal Knights, especially as Magnamon is now confirmed in addition to Omnimon. They've got models up the wazoo from Cyber Sleuth, Rearise, New Century. God, I wish New Century Digimon were in this, but I just don't think it's happening. But Royal Knights are all coming back. Returning from Cyber Sleuth are Diaboromon, Lotusmon, and Ravemon. Ravemon feels likely because, Falcomon, Peckmon, the Data Squad lads. Lotusmon for reasons I'll discuss soon, and Diaboromon because it's Diaboromon. While they haven't had a story appearance, the Sovereigns were very big and key in Survive. And while I know Habu isn't on the project anymore, Habu does like to bring things forward from previous projects. I think we might finally see the Digimon Sovereign in this game. Maybe as bosses, maybe as something else. They were medals in Hacker's Memory, and we are freeing some Digimon from medal jail in this game. I think it's likely. There's something I feel that's less likely in this group, but we'll get to that in a minute. Rest Tyrannomon and Megidramon were both in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, and Gallantmon and Medieval Gallantmon are in this game, so Megidramon makes sense. Boltmon I think is very likely. We have Titamon already, why not? Then again, through confirmation of evolutions already in the game or being in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, we've got Mega Gargomon, Hercules Kabuterimon, Breakdramon, Prince Mamemon, maybe? The other Mamemon are already in the game. Blackwall Greymon near certain, Pile Volcamon near certain, we've got Volcamon. They're gonna homage Volcano Ota. Durand Grandamon, Tyrant Kabuterimon, Darkdramon, Slayerdramon, which is also on Wikimon's list, can't source it, but it's on their list, Justimon, Saberleomon, Godramon, I feel like they're gonna have to have that as an alternate take for Patamon, right? Grandrakmon, King Etamon, Chaosdramon, Gaiumon, Venomiotismon, Valdemon, Valkyremon, Ebimon, and while never appearing in a Digimon story game before, and indeed barely appearing in any Digimon video games, Blitzgreymon and Crescarurumon are becoming really quite popular, being used in Digimon Adventure 2020 as well as a bunch of other media now. I think their time to be in a story game is long overdue, and I think quite likely. I think less likely are Victory Greymon and Zeedgarurumon. Would love to see those, but I'm erring on Blitz and Cress, not Victory and Zeed. Chronomon, Holy Mode, and Destroy Mode. The two sides of Chronomon. In Greek myth, we have Chronos and Cronus. Time is so intrinsically linked to Digimon Story Time Stranger, and Chronomon and its evolutions have just not been in a 3D game. They don't have Digimon reference book listings, which means they can change the lore of this Digimon. Make it the Chronos or the Cronus of this game. Hell, one of the Titans is already confirmed to be a bird, and according to Ravelmonte, Digimon like Hippogriffamon are also classified as Titans in Digimon Crusader. Why not add another 2 birds to that list? The Holy Mode, feeling like it might be a protector of the digital world, revealing itself to actually be Destroy Mode. The Kronos, the Cronus, the Saturn, here to take down the Olympos 12 and bring back, resurrect a much loved Digimon. I don't know, feels pretty likely to me. Speaking of Digimon Survive, as I was earlier, I also think Bolt Boutmon is quite likely here. It's a very popular fusion, and I do think a lot of those final stage evolutions from Survive, I won't spoil how they manifest, but Bolt Boutmon Plutomon may likely have been on Habu's mind as he worked towards Digimon Story Time Stranger, and that's why they were included. Then for more Digimon Rearise love, I think we're going to see Rasenmon and Rasenmon Fury Mode, and my big bet is we're also going to see Heavy Leomon, Lovely Angemon, and Mitamamon in this game. They would make for great pushes, make people so happy, rescue them from kind of Rearise jail. They have had some outings since. They would look so good in this game. And the final mega pick for me is Crossmon. Parrotmon's already been confirmed, and Crossmon is an integral evolution of Parrotmon in its lore. Just makes sense. Future Karn here. Yeah, past Karn was cooking. Crossmon's confirmed. Alright, last push are the Ultra Digimon. Based on the dedicated post for Omnimon, it looks like they might not be using Ultra as a designation in this game like they did in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, probably because technically Ultra is not a level distinction, even though it may as well be at this point. So while I'm going to be talking about Ultra level Digimon, they're also probably just going to be labeled as Megas in the game, but you get the point. Level 7s in the card game is the equivalent. It's not been confirmed yet, but I feel like it would be crazy if it's not in the game. Grace Novamon, the Jogress fusion of Apollomon and Dianamon. It's the Olympos 12 game. How are they not going to include Grace Novamon? Riskier picks are, in my opinion, Mirage Gaugamon Burst Mode and Shine Greymon Burst Mode, but they were both in Cyber Sleuth, so it feels likely. But I'm also going to add Shine Greymon Ruin Mode to this. It's long overdue in a video game, recently got new art and stuff, it dominated the TCG. I think it's a likely pick, as are Rosemon and Ravemon Burst Mode. Susanuomon feels very likely with that Agunimon and Lobomon confirmation, and given all of the other XVmon and Stingmon Digimon I've talked about, let's bring back Imperialdramon Paladin Mode from Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. New Digimon which I think might show up here are Chaosmon, Chaosmon Valdarm, and Ultimate Chaosmon. We're gonna have Bancho Leomon, we're gonna have Darkdramon, we're probably gonna have Valdemon. Why not finally include Chaosmon of all varieties? I also think Alphamon or Yuken is incredibly likely. Audiomon's been shown off, Alphamon's definitely coming. And then let's add some more Omnimon variants that have or haven't been in previous games. Let's add Zvort, Alter S, maybe Alter B, Apoclymon, Gallantmon Crimson Mode, Armageddonmon all feel likely, graduating from Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. But as you noticed earlier, I did include Lotusmon because I think we might see Refleximon in this game, the DNA Digivolution of Lotusmon and Rosemon. It's an out there pick, but I think it's likely. And then the two final Ultras which I'm going to include in this game, one that I think is pretty likely because I think the Sovereigns are going to end up here is Fanglongmon, but the kind of ultimate boss of Digimon Survive, Fanglongmon Ruin Mode, I also think is going to be in this game. I might be wrong, I feel like I could be. It was only depicted in 2D in Survive, technically. They could have been cooking a model for a while there. I think we might see Fanglongmon Ruin Mode here. So, and now my count may be off, but I believe that brings us to, drumroll please, approximately 465 Digimon, give or take 10 Digimon depending on certain confirmation, and because counting all these Digimon has made me go cross-eyed, that I'm definitely losing count here and there. Now, they did state it would be more than 450, but like I say, I don't think 500 is likely because they would have said around 500, but maybe up to 470 without DLC, etc. So let's talk about some assorted wishes. First of all, the Blukamon evolution line. I felt like this was was less likely going into this, but now that Medieval Galletmon has been confirmed and has a connection to Witchelny, maybe we will see Bluecomon, Paledramon, Chris Paledramon, and Hexablaumon show up in this game. I'm leaning more towards DLC, not base roster, but you know, Bandai Namco is in my chat, so maybe they'll include one of my favorites. I also feel like if we're going to include Hoodiemon, Morphomon, and the 3 Eosmon feel incredibly likely. First of all, Eos is also from Greek myth. She's a goddess. And Last Evolution Kizuna has been out a while now. Like, it came out in 2020, it was probably in development a couple of years before that. They definitely would have had access to Morphomon and Eosmon. I just think it's likely for the game, but I didn't put it on the list. Some other wishes people have that I think are likely are Reapermon / Gokumon and Evilmon. I didn't personally put them on my roster, but I feel like there's a good chance they will be there. Some other Digimon that I think people are gagging to see in Time Stranger are the rest of the spirits from Digimon Frontier, but I have a weird feeling they're not going to be included. I would love to see Kazemon, Beetlemon, Chakmon, Loemon or Duskmon, Ranamon, Mercurymon. That's another reason why I think they might not include it. Although they do call him Marukimon in the dub, so I guess they could use Mercurymon too. Grosseimon and Arbamon, I'd love to see all of these, but I have a bad feeling they're not going to include them. I'd love to be pleasantly surprised though, and sadly, despite how much I want it, and I think they could have done it if they'd wanted to, I don't think we're going to see any of the Digimon from Digimon Ghost game, or indeed Digimon Seekers and Digimon Liberator. The projects are just too recent when most of the Digimon would have been done for Time Stranger. It would be great to see Gamamon, Angoramon, Jellymon, Lugamon, a bunch of others show up here. However, I just think they're too recent, but I do think it's very likely we'll get DLC like we've done with Digimon games in the past, and they may do popularity polls for these characters. So we really, if we want to see recent Digimon get in, that's when we need to come up in arms for them. And sadly, I feel a little bit the same about Pulsemon. Though again, the Vital Bracelet is like 5-6 years old at this point. Pulsemon was around during this game's development. If the game's coming out in 2025, they've got at least 4 to 5 years of development time where they could have included Pulsemon. And let's not forget, one of Pulsemon's megas is Achillesmon. Again, I have a terrible bad feeling about this, that none of these will be included because, well, first of all, there's a lot of Pulsemon evolutions because it was designed to be a big branching evolution family for the Vital Bracelet. Second, just because Pulsemon can't get shit recently. However, the glimmer of hope is kept alive in my heart because of Achillesmon. I gotta talk about one more big group of Digimon before this video ends, but I do want to quickly say there is also a likelihood this game will feature 1 or 2 brand new Digimon, maybe a new Aegiacusmon evolution, maybe a new DNA Digivolution or mode change for the Olympos 12 members that don't have them, but that's just really too high concept to predict at this stage. And then finally, just basically any other Greek myth Digimon. Algomon, for example, while coming from Algorithm, also comes from Argos from Greek myth. Arcadiamon was in the Cyber Sleuth games. I feel like it might be getting cut, but Arcadia is from Greek myth. A bunch of other Digimon have got Greek references. Callismon from Callisto. And now that Bearmon is confirmed, hello Future Karn here, I think that's even more likely that Callismon is going to make the cut, with it having reference book art and stuff now. Cyclomon, the Cyclops. Griffomon from the Griffin. Hadesmon, the Atmon, probably not. Harpymon from the Harpy. Hydramon from the Hydra. God, if the Hydrussi was in this game. Hippogriffomon from the Hippogriff, because as previously discussed, Hippogriffomon and Griffomon may be part of the Titan group from Digimon Crusader that may cross over into Digimon Story Time Stranger. That feels like a pretty likely inclusion. Lamiamon, way too recent, but the Lamia is from Greek myth. As is Medusamon, but again, I don't think those are going to get included. Sirenmon, Teoludamon, Thetismon, Witchmon, Zephagamon all have Greek roots, plus a bunch more Digimon that have Greek myth rooted attacks, but some of them are far too recent. Basically anything from Digimon Liberator, I think any of Zephagamon's evolutions, any of Lamiamon and Medusamon just aren't happening, although god, given that we do have that Witchelny connection with Medieval Galletmon, if we could get the other Witchelny connection of Hexablaumon and the symbol for the air elemental from Witchelny that has been emblazoned on Zephagamon Ace, I would love that so much, but I just don't think it's likely. Anyway, I've ranted on for far too long, but that is my prediction of the roster of Digimon Story Time Stranger. Let me know your thoughts, any Digimon you think I've missed that would be obvious. I mean, there's 1,500 Digimon, so I'm sure I've missed some, but I guess this is a video that is going to prove itself time after time, Stranger. So come back to this video when Digimon Story Time Stranger does release and we know every single Digimon. Again, don't come back and actually me about DLC, because I think basically any Digimon is rife for DLC. In fact, they may even do like polls and things, I think, for DLC Digimon, and that's where we may see Digimon from Liberator show up. But in future, we will see how many of these I got right, and maybe I'll pin a comment and we can do, you know, like 300 out of 450, or maybe all I'm hoping is that I got 400 right. The other 50 or so, don't care. But I really want to be pleasantly surprised with some of my favorites, but I doubt I will be. Anyway, thank you to my sovereigns, EDK14, and everyone else who supports me over on patreon.com/Karn EX, as well as all of you that support me here on YouTube channel memberships. I do appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna go lie down, and I'll see you next time when we go to Joel. Bye-bye.